For
the second part, we will ask you to analyze the defects and qualities of the form of questions asked by the interviewers and also their interventions. So do not hesitate to make breaks so that you can take down notes, to have a little bit of hindsight and to better analyze this. And in a third step, we will offer a correction which will come back over what we believe are the most important points to note, given that we cannot be exhaustive, of course. I would like to know for how long you have been established here. Oh, in 84 we moved here. For how many generations? No, it's the first generation. Your main activity is? Well, we raise sheep. And how many do you have? We have 260 now. Why is it you who was chosen to participate in this system? Or were you contacted for this? Oh, the simple reason is that we were on the pathway in 84, and they absolutely wanted somewhere to stay at this distance. May I just clarify something about the previous question? So they are sheep raised for meat, mostly, or? No, it's for meat, yes, we have a label. And do you sell to individuals or not? No, we're part of a group of producers, so they... So have you had the opportunity of having a contract within the framework of Nature 2000? Oh, yes, well, yes, I think we work with Nature 2000. So what does this allow you to do? Anything specific? Yes, it allows us to manage the watching of the animals, and it enables us to intervene in places which we wouldn't... Yes, mechanically. When you say watch, what do you mean, a shepherd? Oh, by electrical fence? Yourself? Oh, as a shepherd, in fact. Oh, I see. Do you have large areas? Yeah, we have about 200 hectares which are not fenced off. In the surface that you mentioned. Yeah, that's a large proportion. So the MAE allows you to have compensation? Yes. Oh, okay. Do you think that this corresponds to the additional difficulty of keeping watch, or doesn't it really compensate? How many animals do you have in your herd? Well, currently there are 40. So they're reproducers, so 39 reproducers. What breed of animals do you have? So I have Lacones. They are dairy cows from the highlands that I have crossbred with Merinos. And here, what are the main constraints that you have with your herd in terms of the management of the herd? I don't really understand the question. What problems do you often encounter in managing your herd? Well, at the moment, we have a problem with hunters. But in fact, things go quite well here. I have a good relationship. So for the first question, was it easy? Or? Yeah, I think that it was easy. So for how long have you been established here? Yes, I think it gives a good entrance point. It really sets the framework of how long have you been here. And it gives the person the opportunity to talk about their background. Having said this, it's a question which is not sufficient in itself, I believe, because each time the person says if yes or no they come from the region, and then they stop. So this calls for clarification questions. If yes, since when? If not, where do you come from, etc. So we always have to add a few additional questions. Instead of for how long have you been established here, what other question could you ask which encourages the interviewee to talk without having to prompt her for further information? Yeah, either this, or you can say, how did you come to set up in the region? That's a simple question which is open and which really leaves the time open for the interviewee to talk, and you don't need to prompt them with, if you're not from here, where are you from, etc. What question are we looking at here? What is your main activity? We raise sheep. Yeah, so are these meat sheep? Yes, I had to prompt her also because we weren't sure whether they were dairy or meat ovines. And as she didn't specify this, and as the information was important for us, we prompted her. But it came a bit later on. So why didn't you directly obtain the information from her? And why did you have to give her a prompt question? So a relatively closed question. Hence a relatively brief answer, which will not enter into the details and which will not dish you up the information that you need on a plate. So how could we formulate the question? And even the following one, because you're also obliged to, and what about your secondary activity, and how many heads do you have, and is it for meat or dairy purposes? So you are bombarding the person with questions. So could you describe your main and secondary activities? You don't necessarily need to already introduce a ranking, which is really an analysis. Main and secondary does raise a question in terms of time, in terms of income, in terms of preference, in terms of what. Just let her describe her activities, and only at the end, when she has spoken, you can say, are there any other activities? Do you have other types of activity or something like this? So I have noted on this part questions, once again, which contained the answer. I didn't note it all down, but a question around the way in which we watch over the herds. So we said a sheepdog with electrical fences or not, yourself. Sometimes too much technical knowledge on the subject is counterproductive in being a good interviewer. But there's a lot of work to be done. Oh yes, well, I'm noting these down on the paper, and I might take the person to one side for more specific things. But we can speak about more precise, specific things. But with open questions where she will describe how she works without having to prompt for answers or to impose 10 or so answers to her. The formulation of the question, I heard, why were you chosen? It was with regard to her second activity. She has a gîte. She manages a departmental gîte. And you said, why is it you who was chosen to participate in this system? Or were you contacted? And what are the defects of this question? Well, the answer is in there. Yes, it's a dual question. And you have asked a lot of dual questions. And you say, and why is it you who looks after the departmental gîte? I think that we're asking her to justify herself. Why is it you and not somebody else? Yes, it can be interpreted in that way, yes. So once again, how could we formulate a question that does not contain this possible interpretation, justification? What led you to set up this sheet? Yes, exactly. How many animals do you have in your herd? Well, at the moment, there are 40 or 41. What breed? What breed of animals are they? Well, here there are... I have the Lacones, that's the dairy breed of the Highlands. And I crossbred this with a merino. What are the main constraints that you have with a herd in the management of the herd? I didn't really understand your question. What problems do you encounter to manage your herd? So currently it's a bit